hey, why don't you see what you can do to get me on Iron Chef America? And she's like, okay. I didn't think anything of it. And literally like 3 months after, she's like, you're on.
Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA, and I'm your host, Andre Datera. Today, my guest is Chef David Bull. He competed on Iron Chef America. He's received recognition from Food and Wine as Best New Chef. He's currently the Vice President of Food and Beverage for LaCorsha Hospitality. He's opened up many restaurants, and today we're going to talk about all of that, including some great business advice for the chef entrepreneur and the very important topic surrounding mental health. Stay tuned. What was it like being the first chef from Austin, Texas on Iron Chef? What's going through your mind when you walk into Kitchen Stadium?
Oh, gosh.
Could you set the stage? First of all, how did that, maybe you could start out like the phone rings.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the after part of winning Best New Chef Food and Wine magazine.
So you win Best New Chef Food and Wine magazine. What year is this?
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
And I bet you that
was a while ago.
A ton of doors, right?
A ton of doors. And that was the phone call from Dana Cowan. And that was the random phone call that began to change everything. And
by the way, for context, how old are you at this time? You're in Austin, Texas.
Oh my gosh.
You're a young buck. You just leave the mansion on Turtle Creek, right?
Yeah, the mansion was, 1994 to 1999. And so I started at the Driskill in Austin in the middle of 1999. So it's been a couple decades. And I was 23 years old for my first executive chef at the Driskill Hotel.
How old?
23.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah. That was young.
That's young, but you're coming from the mansion on Turtle Creek
under
Dean Ferry at the time.
Yeah.
It's like
I was super green and super unprepared for what I was walking into, and that was the learning curve for sure. And then after 2 or 3 years in that, I think, Food and Wine magazine was 2003, so 4 years into the Driskill that's how long it took to really turn everything around and really fall into some kind of a rhythm. And then the call came in, and at that time we didn't know what was going on, and we had won the Austin American-Statesman award, and that whole getting the newspaper thing and getting those 5-star reviews, and Texas Monthly noticed us, and then Food and Wine called in, and I remember taking the call from Dana. I was like in complete shock. Yeah. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're like on cloud 9, especially you're 23, 24 years old, right? Like hot shit, right?
Yeah.
You're 23, and it's funny. I think back. I won some awards in Dallas at the time, so it was like 2003, and I had won the Rising Star Chef in Dallas, and I had won another award. So those like 2 major awards at that time in Dallas that I had won. And I remember talking to my mentor at the time. I said, I don't know what to do next. I think I'm going to give up. Like, where do I go from here? Like, I'm already on top. Little did I know, right?
Yeah.
So the phone call you get to go on Iron Chef America. Mm-hmm. And this is like, for people that weren't watching food TV at that time, like there was nothing bigger.
Nothing bigger than
Nothing
that.
bigger. Like you're on Iron
we
Chef
were all
America.
Like super excited about the original Iron Chef. And so that was kind of a cult favorite for us, watching the original. And then honestly, I made a joke to our marketing person. I said, hey, why don't you see what you can do to get me on Iron Chef America? And she's like, okay. I didn't think anything of it. And literally like 3 months after, she's like, you're on. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way. What do you mean I'm on? So that's how it kind of happened. And then all the details kind of.
What's the behind the scenes? So like when you arrived, like I'm sure there is a little bit more than the grand reveal. You have a little bit of preparation. What was your strategy?
So we arrived the day before, and we actually got to watch an episode prior, and I forgot who it was, but we were actually in the studio watching all what go down, and Alton Brown and all the it's funny because I think I've got a confidentiality agreement still, so I don't know how much I can say.
Okay.
So I know I signed something, but I'll see if I can be careful on it. But the whole thing takes, it took like 8 hours, right? Wow. The taping takes 8 hours. The cooking part is definitely 60 minutes, and then the judging is another couple hours. So there's that walk that you see with all the big lights and the reveal. That was like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Wow.
Like that whole setup.
Who did you go with? Like, how are you selecting your team?
Well, I picked my CDC and sous chef from the Driskill at the time, Josh Watkins and Jason Maddie, both who are incredible people and incredible cooks to this day. And yeah, we were all just, when I watched the video, we were we were super young. It was,
Yeah.
it was, no doubt in my mind that those two guys had to come with me.
And you're battling Bobby Flay. Was it boar?
It was wild boar.
Wild boar.
Yeah, actually from Broken Arrow Ranch, the ranch down here in South
I mean,
Texas.
And back then, for people that don't know, like I don't remember what the records were, but like Bobby Flay was like had like a super high winning rate, right?
Yeah, definitely a high rate.
Yeah.
And we always joke that, well, you can't have a losing Iron Chef. So I mean, he definitely had some wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
what was the aftermath of that?
man, the first and foremost, we wanted to give just a shout out to our local folks and people that made that possible. And so we rented out, I think, the original Alamo Draft House. Mm-hmm. And so when it aired, we had a party and we showed the episode of the Draft House,
yeah,
which is super cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, that's super cool.
So that was really great, and nobody knew the outcome, so it was a little disappointing.
Yeah. So what was it like? I'm just curious because at this time you've now won. You've received Food and Wine's Best New Chef.
Yeah.
You're on Iron Chef, and back then this is pre-social media.
Yeah.
So you're you are a celebrity chef at this time, and by the way, you're probably the only celebrity chef in Austin at this time.
It kind of felt that way. I mean, it's, I've always not really, I guess, fallen into that in my own mind because there's just way too many people that made that possible. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, that whole celebrity chef thing was definitely kicking off. And I was just happy it was funny because nobody thought Austin was a food scene at that time.
Right.
Everybody questioned why I was going from Dallas to Austin. So there felt like definitely well, this is why. So I felt good about bringing attention to this city because it was in an incredible place, like
right.
A mini melting pot in Texas. And I was like, what? I mean, I wasn't proving anybody wrong. It was just like, no, this is where I needed to be. This is what needed to happen. And I just felt that there was some movement that was happening in Austin at the time.
So for people that don't know, so if we're going back, I could tell you, I'm in Dallas at the time, and you're the only name we know in Austin at this point. Like we don't know anyone else. Like, what's going on over here? It made us start to take a look.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it started making a lot of people start taking a look. And then the next thing over the next couple of years, I would say, for people that Texas history, maybe some Austin culinary history, I would say that you were the first chef that people outside of Austin started to know, and then Tyson Cole shortly after that, and then Aaron Franklin.
Sure.
Those you guys were like the first three that, okay, what's going on over here? David Chank's coming over here, Anthony Bourdain's coming over here, and it's like now we're starting to discover the culinary scene in Austin, and a lot of that you pioneered. So I'm super excited to have you on the show because of it. Yeah. Because I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, you opened up a spot in Dallas too at a certain point.
We did. Yeah. And San Antonio and Big Spring and a few different places.
What was the place in Dallas?
Dallas? It was the Stoneleigh Hotel.
It was at the Stoneleigh. That's right.
Bola. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm at the Pyramid at that time, chefing at the Pyramid. And I remember when you opened, at that time, I had my view of my competitions like Bruno at the Mansion and Stephen Piles is doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. And then you open up, I was like, another competitor.
It's like, oh, great. No rest for the wicked.
Yeah. It's like, oh, geez, now we got to compete with Austin here in Dallas now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, that was a good time.
Kitchens are brutal right now. Everyone knows it. Fewer people on the line, margins tighter than ever, and somehow the expectations keep going up. There's just no room to miss anymore. I was talking to a chef recently who said the biggest stress wasn't the volume, it was the mental load. Babysitting food, timing everything perfectly, trying to be everywhere at once. And that's where equipment matters more than people want to admit. Rational's technology comes up a lot in those conversations. The iCombi Pro, the iVario Pro, overnight roasts that don't need to be checked, custom programs for all your recipes, consistency without hovering, completely automated cleaning, monitoring everything from your phone, the list goes on. And what really buys you the headspace? Less standing over pans and more time to lead the kitchen instead of constantly putting out tiny fires. When you're down to cook, when the prep list is rough, when the production ramps up, think Rational. So I guess as we transition from Iron Chef, from Food and Wine, from the Driskill Hotel, now you start to branch out on your own.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because obviously for people that don't know, you've had a very successful restaurant empire in Austin and beyond.
Sure.
Yeah. What does that look like?
I don't even hearing it as an empire. It's like, it's so hard to, it's looking back on it. I mean, since then we've opened 16 restaurants / hotels.
Yeah.
And most of them were historic renovations. And so, and I've been part of a hospitality company. LaCorsha Hospitality has been a huge, partnership to be able to give me the opportunity to do the design, to do the concept, and do the food that I wanted to do. So that support. And
Did they find you, or did you form this on your own?
it was really Jeff Trigger, who was the general manager at the mansion for over 20 years. I mean, he raised his family in that hotel, and when he left Dallas to come to the Driskill, I was like, "Hey, man, like, can I get a letter of reference? Because what are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, have you ever been to Austin?" And I said, "No, I've never been to Austin." He's like, "Well, why don't you come out?" And at that time, 22 people, basically the entire executive team, left the mansion and opened the Driskill. And then when the Driskill sold, for that 8 years of the Driskill, it did incredible. And so the owner decided to sell it. And he said that, well, I don't want that to ever happen again. And so he created his own management company, and it's named after his two daughters, Coralie and Shannon. So instead of being operators underneath ownership, he created a management company to protect us moving forward so that we could have long-term contracts. And he asked me to be the vice president of food and beverage. So there's only 4 of us. There's operations, food and beverage, our CFO, and he's the president. So 4 of us were the core team that created that company and ended up managing over 16 properties. Some of them we own, some of them are leases, some of them are licensing agreements. And so that's kind of where it was born. So I feel very blessed to be part of that, because I've seen a lot of chefs try to do that on their own, and it's really tough.
It is really tough. What do you think was the biggest learning curve when you all were starting as a group to start to get those licensing deals? And how did you differentiate, like, hey, this is a property that maybe we want to look at as a licensing deal, and this is a property that maybe we want to for ourselves?
Yeah. I mean, it really, our first gig was the St. Anthony Hotel in San Antonio, right? And so a lot of it was just like, when you come into an operation that is not running smoothly, it takes 2 or 3 years to get all of those parts and pieces. And from a chef perspective, it's like, man, you walk into an existing staff, an existing concept, an existing clientele, that's the biggest challenge, as to how you turn that ship and how you can do what needs to be done. And it takes a lot of patience and a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness, because it's like, man, the team that you're walking into usually doesn't want to see you. Right. And so that transition is always very difficult. But those were the St. Anthony was the first gig, and then back to Dallas at the Stoneleigh. So I was commuting. I lived in Austin. I was driving to San Antonio and flying to Dallas for like the first 2 or 3 years of this hotel management company.
And for people that don't know, there's a big difference between a management and a licensing, and
Correct.
licensing and management,
Yeah.
right? What, can you kind of break that down for people that are listening? Like, when you're going to the negotiating table with, I'm just going to use a fill in the blank hotel.
Sure.
What are you typically looking at that is the best structure from a chef's perspective? Is it the licensing? Is it the management? Or is it, you want to be more hands off? You want to be more hands on? And what are some of the red flags that you're looking for?
Well, I think it's important, and we've experienced this. I'm certainly from a chef perspective side, that if you're not hands on, and that's where the trouble kind of started, is that if I'm commuting, I remember one of the articles in Dallas from when we renovated the Stoneleigh and I launched that restaurant. I was never supposed to be the chef there, but that was the market crash. And so in the article, it talked about that I don't even live in Dallas.
Was that Leslie Brenner?
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah. And so it was like, she wasn't wrong, but it's like, that was part of the challenge, is that it's really difficult to license your brand or license the concept, because the dependency on all of the other people, like, it's hard enough if you're there, let alone if you're not there. So we have very few licensing agreements. Most of everything requires us to be hands-on. Most of them were contractual management agreements, whether 5 years or 10 years or a situation like that we were working directly with the ownership.
So for you and your company, you would prefer the licensing management deal? The management deal.
Management deal.
The management deal.
Yeah, we've got one license agreement still to this day. That's at the airport. So Second Bar and Kitchen is at the Austin Airport. And it's more consulting, more quality control. But I designed the kitchen. I launched it. I trained them up in the beginning. And I've been there, several times over the last few years to help with quality control. But I got to depend on this guy or this girl to maintain that standard. And it has to be up to them, because it's their employees.
Right.
And so the challenge comes in where, I mean, you and I both know that in a kitchen, like that culture and that standardization of who you are and what you do and what you put on a plate, it's just, if you're remote or if you're not present, even if you're there, it's really, really difficult to create that consistency and quality. And so the idea, I mean, licensing agreements are really great and they fill a purpose, and it's very specific on that kind of stuff. But I mean, for me, we found more success in managing it ourselves. And we were hoping to get really, really big so I can kind of float around multiple locations as this, that was another, unrealistic expectation, because as soon as I walked away or as soon as I got distracted or as soon as other things came out, immediately quality would suffer. And then how do you pay somebody enough to maintain the quality at the location that you don't have to be there? So then it offsets the budget. The economics don't work, again, unless you've got multiple locations and all this free flowing cash and revenue to be able to pay for that position. And that just didn't happen.
So what are you doing? At this point, all this is happening in your career. You have multiple locations. How are you scaling and maintaining brand standard? Like, is it consistent recipes? Are you sending like photos of every dish? Are you just showing up and, losing your mind saying, this is not what I said? How are you maintaining that consistency?
The only brand consistency that we did was with Second Bar and Kitchen, right? That was our first restaurant deal. That was our first big, multi-million-dollar renovation for the space and our big launch. And so we ended up having a total of 5 Second Bar and Kitchens. I think 3 were operating at the same time. And because it was not a cookie cutter scenario. Yes, the brand could have been, but I mean, it's pizza and burgers and really great stuff. But we didn't start out expecting the expansion. And so our books and our standards and all of those things, like we were creating that kind of as we went along, right? And so when we expanded, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, no, we might not want to do that because it doesn't really work at that particular location, or the equipment's different or whatever it is. And so I would definitely encourage, if your intention is to expand, you got to start that consistent standard in your SOPs in advance of opening the first, because then everything kind of trickles back down and it falls within the parameters or the boundaries of what it is, so that anybody that goes to any of your locations experiences that same quality. Because we even had, the logo was the same, but uniforms may be different, or your location is just really, it dictates a whole lot of the expectation. And so if you've got a brand that you're trying to plug in, I just didn't have a lot of fun at that stuff. Like I much more enjoy the creation of the concept within the walls and the space of the location that it's in. And that's why LaCorsha and the hospitality group, it's like most of it was taking existing historic properties and then figuring out, asking ourselves, well, what is the best option of the food and beverage product that we can put into here? And that's a whole lot more fun than saying, well, we've got this brand, let's push it and plug it into this space. Sometimes that's not the way to go.
It doesn't fit.
And it's a lot more fun to create it on the spot.
Something that I've thought, and you've worked in hotels and I've worked in hotels. The most recent hotel I opened, I opened it in 2016, 2017. I opened the Fairmont Austin. And when we were opening up, I mean, we have the fine dining restaurant, we have the Italian restaurant, we have the Asian restaurant, we have the Mexican thing over there, we got the bar and grill over here. And so when you're opening, and then you got, of course, the cafeteria and family meal, and then you got the 1,000-person banquet catering operation. So you have all these moving parts. One of the things that I've thought, and I'm not sure if you agree with me, but you've opened, I've opened a lot of restaurants in one building. You've opened a lot of restaurants in multiple buildings. One of the things that I've thought to myself is, as a restaurant group, is it easier to open multiple restaurants at the same time? Or are you better off like, let's open this one, stay stabilized, wait a year, and then open up the second one? And the reason I ask that is because in my mind, and I sometimes say this when I'm consulting, is like, well, if you're opening one, open two. Like you only have to build the SOP twice. Because I know in a hotel, you're opening all of them on the same day.
You have no choice in that
you
scenario.
Have a team, right? You have your directors in place, but you're open. Like you have no choice. They're all opening on opening day.
That gives me a little anxiety just hearing that. But yeah, I would, if you have the choice, definitely at least space them out a little bit. But if it's the same brand, that's a little bit different. But Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough, man. You know, I'm to the age and point where it's like, man, I don't want to make things a little easier,
Yeah.
not challenge ourselves to, just go through that process. But no, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, it really depends on the location, it depends on the brand and the concept, and it depends on the team. Like we've seen situations to where we've got a set opening date and we've got the plan in place, and it's like it's team based. I mean, me and you might be able to figure X, Y, and Z, but we can't do every single job. So if you can't find the team and they're trained up enough, the last thing you want to do is push an opening that you're not ready for. I mean, you really, especially in a town like us, I mean, you kind of get one shot. That first impression, that first meal, or that first, influencer event or whatever it is. I mean, you've got to be spot on. So I think those are really risky things to put on paper. You got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to work around what cards you're dealt with. And we think that it's all going to work out, but there's always something that's going to happen. And so I think it's important to be able to pivot during those time periods.
If you were giving business advice, you've opened a lot of restaurants, you've had a very successful career. And if you were giving specific business advice to the people that are just starting out that say, hey, I want to open up my first restaurant, or I'm ready to go from one restaurant to two. Yeah. Maybe they're looking to expand. And there's a big difference between I've put all my money into this and it's mine and my partner's restaurant versus, okay, now we're going in as a group and now there's partnership money. What are some of the important things that you think people should know, and and the questions they should be asking that they don't know to ask?
Yeah. Well, I think I think it might have been my boss or somebody, but I mean the lease, if you're not buying, well, first of all, if you're buying the property or you're leasing the property, that is the number one most important thing, is what does that lease look like? All of the nuances and everything that could possibly go wrong need to be addressed before you ever take the space. And so the lease is incredibly important.
Can you talk about, get more granular, like what are some of those things that need to be addressed specifically?
Garbage, like, the triple net, or if it's a landlord situation, and like when you talk about the exterior space.
The cams.
Yeah, the cams. Right. Like, what? Wait a minute. The sidewalk is half on the city line and half on property line. Who cleans that 3 feet of sidewalk? And when you talk about garbage and you're in a multiple complex situation, I mean, even the water meter, it's like, where does this water meter actually register, and who's paying for that part of the deal? Parking. Oh my gosh, parking is massive, because you may, in the lease, you've got 10 spots, but is that 24 hours a day, or is it only during operating hours, or where does your team park? The list go on and on as far as the utilities are concerned and the expenses are concerned. They have nothing to do necessarily with running a restaurant for food and beverage. So those are some of the pitfalls. And that, I mean, gosh, 5-year lease or a 10-year lease and triple net. And, I mean, you don't know what to ask for unless you've kind of already been through it. And so those are the things that I would kind of look for, because it's not that people are out to get you. It's just, and sometimes the ownership or the people that own the property also don't know either. And so then when a problem happens, or you're not busy, or there's COVID, or there's something that happens, all of a sudden now you're at a table trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, and that happened to us during COVID too. It's like, wait a minute, we need rent assistance because we can't afford rent because it's shut down. Like, that's not our fault. Right. And so that's an extreme example, because nobody wrote in their lease what would happen if there was a total economic shutdown.
Is that now being negotiated?
I think, I think that's a deal. I think that's got to be in your new plans, because
what is it called? Like a force majeure, or
act of God or act of nature. And it's like, that's got to be in there, because, we know that restaurants operate in such a slim margin. And so if you're not anticipating what happens when those margins aren't handled, you've got to have a plan B and usually a plan C to be able to impact that kind of stuff.
And are you looking at like TI money? So, hey, we need to take care of this before we even start this.
Yeah. And how do you know TI? I mean, where's that rate, and what's the market on the TI? And we've seen it to where, oh my gosh, we don't have to worry about anything. But then we've seen it to where it's a white box, and it's like, oh, okay, well, a white box to you might be different to me if the plumbing is stubbed out, or I've got to hire now a plumber to actually do the final hookups and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's easy to take it for granted because the chefs are so excited to get, just let me cook. Let's get the stove delivered. Let's get moving. But all of those pennies and dimes really, really can add up quickly if you're over budget, which most are, and then you start out and now you've got owners and investors that are like, wait a minute, you promised us this return in 12 months. Where's the return? But they're not looking at everything that just happened over the last 24 months to build out and all of those unforeseen circumstances. So that can be pretty conflicting because it's like, man, we still believe in you. We still believe in the concept. We still believe in the product, but now we're over budget by $200,000, which skews all of the return. Mm-hmm. Now you're working harder and trying to do more than you really were designed to do. And so that if you didn't include that into the Proforma,
and for people that don't know, can you explain what the Proforma is?
So Proforma is basically what you think you're going to do on paper, backed by numbers and seat counts. And
they're usually a little embellished.
Well, yeah, they are. Yeah,
we're going to do two turns every night.
2 turns every night. Our check average is 65, and it's like, you embellish them because not only you're not really manipulating it, but it's really what you hope to do.
Right.
But if that's what your investment is based on, and then you don't perform.
When you do your Proforma, do you typically go in and say, here's my base case, here's my aggressive, and here's my...
Depends on who you're talking to. It depends on who we're asking money for.
Yeah, okay,
is it a bank? Is it an individual?
Internally.
Yeah. Internally, oh yeah. Internally, we got a baseline. It's break even. What do we need? How much do we need to do just to pay for everything? Mm-hmm. And whatever that break even thing is.
What are the red flags that you're looking at that make you say, I need to walk away from this deal?
To me, it's always come down to trust. I think really in every relationship, if there's a trust or an integrity issue, or if you see decisions that are being made that just aren't morally correct, and you don't jive as far as the ability to work stuff out, if you're finding struggle within the basic understanding of the budgets before you even start to build, or arguments on how we're going to approach things, that's a huge red flag. Because when real problems happen, if I can't trust you to help me figure out the problem, or you've got your own best interest in mind that supersedes the business, then it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So if we can't solve a small problem on what kind of cups we're going to use, or do we want straws or bamboo or whatever, then when something really bad happens, a lawsuit or somebody slips and falls or something like that, if you're like, hands up and that's your problem, all of a sudden you're already in the middle of it. And so you really can't back out of it without ramifications. So ask those hard questions, figure out those smaller problems in advance before the deal is signed, because it's all relational. I mean, the hospitality industry, it's 100% relation. And if you don't trust your partners, and if you can't count on your partners to come through with real moral standards and having integrity about what is best for your customers and best for your team and best for the business, that's you gotta step out pretty quick.
As a chef and also restaurateur, sometimes we view things from the creative standpoint. Yeah. And sometimes we aren't selling that creative food, right? You mentioned earlier how you were doing pizzas and burgers. Sure. And they sell. Everyone could relate to that.
That's right.
Right. But not everyone could relate to the very fancy foie gras dish with the peach jam or whatever. Yeah, right? Yeah. Can't relate to that one.
Not everybody.
Not everyone can. Nope. How do you know when to pull back culinary wise and show restraint? Because I think a lot of young chefs sometimes I just want to do my food. Yeah. I want to do my food. Yeah. That's it. All I care about is I can't wait to become sous chef so I could get my dish on the menu. And I can't wait to be the executive chef so I can tell you exactly how I want my food. And then you realize that doesn't always work.
No. That's a hard road, man. Because even today, if I were to open up a restaurant tomorrow, my first question is, what is it that people are going to enjoy the most? What do the guests expect, and how can I exceed their expectations? My food, I don't know, man. It's there may be a time in my later years where I can open up a restaurant with 10 seats and take it or leave it, buy a ticket if you want. I'm kind of almost creating that, but I'm not there yet. But that's really the only platform that I see that even coming close to working. Mm-hmm. Everything else has to be what works in the setting. And my food can be a whole lot of stuff. And if you're pigeonholed into doing your food, I think, when chefs want to do only their own food, it automatically, I get the feeling that you're just separating yourself from what you need, because you need other people and you need happy guests and you need paying customers. And so if you're if you're if you're not worried about revenue and if you're not worried about investment, you're not worried about how much things cost. Okay, maybe. We were really blessed to have Second Bar and Kitchen and Congress in the same building. So I got to go over to Congress, Restaurant Congress, and have chef tasting menus 5 nights a week, dinner only with 40 seats. That's unheard of, really, because that was the playground. One staff, one team, one saute cook, one food runner. So that training mechanism enabled us to do really incredible food. And because it was prefix and chefs tasting, that was the expectation. So we could do I pushed the edge quite a bit. And then in Second Bar, it's like, okay, well, we give you both. If you want to have this, then go over here, have a great burger and pizza. And we did pasta and gnocchi and all kinds of stuff. But in Congress, it was like, you kind of knew what you were getting. So we set that bar pretty high and set the expectation, but it still wasn't, that approach was a collaboration between, I worked with Rebecca Meeker, and she was CDC for a long time for Joel Robuchon. And it was like, why would I want more of that. How can we collaborate? And some of those dishes were a collaboration, the best dishes that we've ever done, because it was a mutual creative process. And I found the end result from the guests seeing that and tasting that and walking through it was just, that stuff was pretty solid.
When you look at the economics of 2 different restaurant models,
Yeah.
So you have the tasting menu restaurant, and then you have the more casual spot. What are some of the pros and cons of each one? If you were talking to chefs right now that are listening that say, I want to open up my restaurant, which one do I do first, and what are the pros and cons? The moment you became sous chef, the rules changed. You can't drink with the crew anymore. You can't look the other way anymore. You can't be liked and respected at the same time. Caesar's not above the law, and neither are you. The Sous Chef Blueprint, the manual that nobody handed you when you got promoted. Get it at chefspsa.com.
Ooh, gosh, it was, our best year in that concept. I think we're at
which concept?
Second Bar Kitchen and combined.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Second in Congress, through that process, I think we were at $5.5 million in food and beverage, and this was in 2010.
And this combined with the 2.
Yeah, combined.
Yeah.
And the casual restaurant was more like 3.5, and Congress was like 2. The amount of energy and money and staff also reflected that. A lot more time, a lot more hours, and a lot more staff to be the casual restaurant than it did for the high end. Cost percentages as far as profit margins, same thing. Our profit margin was higher. So
higher in the more casual. Yeah.
And so
you said you're doing 3 million and your profit is what, 10, 15%? Yeah. Where the other one's doing 2 million, and is your profit 10, 15, or is it smaller? It's about 5, 2 to 3%.
It's a lot of fun. So when you do your own food, that's what I'm saying. Those economics really matter, because how long do you really want to do your own food for? And how long do you want to push that edge? And everything needs to work in order for that to be a long-term deal. And we've seen them, and we know the top 10s and the world's list and stuff like that. But you see that outcome, but you don't see the years and planning, the years and process, and all the money behind what it takes for that, and then the team that you've got to have. Because restaurants are only as good as your team is, and your team's based on people, and people change, and people grow, and people break, and people have issues, and so it's just such a which makes it so incredibly exciting too. But
with fine dining, in that tasting menu style, and looking at, there's some people that have done it for years, and you look at the French Laundries and the Danielles and the Jean Georges and Le Bernardin, and then in Texas, you could say, well, there's probably you got Steven, you got Dean. They did it for a long time, but even that, they don't do that.
No,
they don't do that anymore.
No, and I think things are changed. I think the time is saying, I think people they do want more casual. They want something that is relatable. They want to dress how they want. They want to be in and out if they choose, and they want to be able to kind of decide their own adventure. And I heard it the other day. It's like, man, I don't want to go anywhere that I know how to cook the stuff I'm eating, which is kind of powerful. It's like, because people are trained. In today's market, your clientele is more educated, more skillful at their own kitchen, doing their own parties, doing all of their own cooking. And if they come to your restaurant, they're not going to spend $30 on an entree that they just made at home 3 nights ago.
Right.
So, whether that's social or whether that's internet, or just people are just more encouraged from all of the information. And the love of cooking has been spread, and all the tools and information are much more accessible. So you gotta push it a little bit, but in a setting that is approachable, acceptable, economical, and just something that makes it, it's a lot of it's about a fun vibe too.
Yeah.
You know? Of course, you've got to have good food and
It's
good
a
beverage and good
price of
service.
entry.
Yeah, like come on,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
let's get real. It's not.
Yeah.
You can't succeed if you don't have those.
Right.
But what are you going to do as far as enticing those guests to kind of come back?
I often think about, and I'm penning a book right now. I'm almost done with about midway done. I'm going to give it a plug right now. It's called The Sous Chef Blueprint.
Nice.
And in one of the chapters, I talk about food cost, because a lot of the challenges that sous chefs, when you're going from cook to sous chef, like one of the questions I used to get, like, teach me about food costs. I'm like, it's not that difficult. It's probably not as difficult as you think.
Yeah.
Because it's a formula, and you probably plug it into Excel and got it. But the real food cost is happening on the floor. Right. It's when you cut your steaks wrong, or you're throwing everything away because you didn't use it. That's
right.
That's where the food cost is happening.
Correct.
Or it's the dishes that are not selling.
Right.
So I could teach you the formula. That'll take you 5 minutes to learn,
Yeah.
but it's all this other stuff that's going to take you years
It's
to
much
learn.
more organic than that.
Right. And so when we think about mentorship, and we talk about the things that we need to teach the next generation, and I know you're big on mentorship, because obviously having a lot of restaurants, that means you have a lot of people that are looking up to you.
Yeah.
And you also have a responsibility for all these people that are
Yeah.
looking up to you and seeking your time. When you walk in the kitchen, it's like, is he going to talk to me? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he going to spend a little bit of time with me? How do you view mentorship in that role? First, I want to ask you how you view mentorship in that role. And then I want to ask you how you view mentorship in the role that you're in now.
Yeah. I kind of was mentored in the beginning, which I think set a little bit of a standard for me. So Dean Faring in Dallas, it was the same thing. When I walked into that kitchen, I was 19 and saw this, bigger than life. I mean, there was 50 cooks, and I mean, they were doing 12 million in revenue. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, right? They're just insane. I think my prep list, was 150 items or something. And I'm 19 as a veg cook making $7.25 an hour. Right. And, I'll never forget. It was like the first real shift. He beelined it towards me. Hey, how you doing? I'm Dean. Good to see you. And he said hi, and he said goodbye every day to every cook. And I was like, man, that's super cool. And I still do that to this day, because that connection of being real with your team always kind of sat with me.
It's a good baseline of respect established.
Yeah. And so he didn't run a kitchen of fear, and so I carried that with me too. It's like I wanted every kitchen that I ran, not only did I make one-on-one connection with the team, but I let them know very specifically that it's okay to ask a question. It's actually okay to screw up, and I want you to be comfortable in your mistakes, because I'm going to find out anyway. And so let's just have a good relationship. I'm here for you. You're here for me. Let's work together, not as a dictator kind of fear-based kitchen. And that's proven to be pretty successful for my teams in the past.
I'm going to go on a side tangent, a story that I think you would appreciate.
Yeah.
So I had a restaurant in Dallas, Marquee Grill.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm the executive chef, and Dean comes in with his two sons, and they're having dinner. Yeah. Right. It's a Sunday night. Restaurant's pretty slow.
Yeah.
And I happen to be working, so I go and talk to Dean, and he's really happy. He's liking the food. He's like, I haven't been here before, because we just reconcepted. So now we have an Asian restaurant upstairs, and more American style downstairs. And he says, give me a tour. I want to see the place. I'm like, absolutely. So I take him upstairs.
Yeah.
And I'm showing him around, and I notice these two beautiful women sitting in the corner, just looking at us like, oh my God, that's the chef.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I am the chef.
That's
right?
me.
That's me. I am the chef. And I'm showing Dean around and whatever. And then they stand up from their table, and they come up to us, and they say, we're so sorry. Can we get a photo?
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. And they hand me the camera. They hand me the camera so they can take a picture with Dean and the two girls. And I'm like, if people don't understand what a big deal Dean was in Dallas at that time, he still is, right? He still is, but like, he was a legend. Like, people are asking to take a picture with him in my restaurant. And it's so funny, because Dean's a class act.
I love
he
it.
says, Andre's a good chef too. Let's make sure he gets in the picture. And I just remember thinking, thank you, Dean. But it was like so funny. Like, they're handing me the camera so they could get a photo with Dean.
Incredible.
It was too funny. But he's a great chef.
He is. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny though, because when we left the mansion, I didn't know that was part of the other 20 people. And I actually was on vacation. I came back to give my resignation. But that previous week, 15 other executives were already put in their notice. So he was already teed up.
He was going to the Ritz at that point?
No. This is when we all left to come to Austin. Backtracking a little bit, but he was one of the guys that said, "Why are you going to Austin? There's nothing in Austin." And so we've had
Not yet.
conversations since then.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, we're not always right.
Yeah. Well,
So-
you talk about licensing deals, and I don't know the inner workings of Dean's deal at Ritz-Carlton, but when I saw that and that happened, he left the mansion to go to Ritz-Carlton. I was like, that's the deal.
That's the deal.
That's the
Yeah,
deal.
Fairings at the Ritz.
Yeah,
it's been going strong for a long time.
I don't know if this is true, so I'm just making shit up. So people, don't take this as fact. This is just rumors,
Yeah.
industry rumors. I've heard that Fairings is like the most profitable restaurant in Ritz-Carlton.
wouldn't doubt it.
I've heard that before. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true, but it makes the most amount of money.
It sounds true.
Yeah, that rattlesnake bar
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
great restaurant. And Dean's a legend. Going back to Iron Chef. No offense to Bobby. Like, he's got a podcast that's competing against mine. So sorry.
there you go.
Sorry, Bobby.
We love you, Bobby.
Yeah. Like, thank you for coming into my show. Into my
Well, and I
like,
lost-
like you weren't winning with Iron Chef and everything
and
else.
I lost
you
to
have
him,
going
so
on.
I've got to give him a hard time because it's like, well, obviously, I got some. I wanted a rematch.
No, I've listened to his podcast. His podcast is good, actually.
Yeah.
I've listened to a couple of his episodes, and he's actually someone I would love to have on here because I'm sure he has stories, and I feel like as he's gotten older, he's loosened up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
And
Well, and again, the growth is important because I knew what I thought and felt back then, and when you have that much publicity and you have that much pressure and you have that many restaurants and everybody is just kind of all over you, so I'm much more, I guess, understanding. And I've never been at Bobby's level as far as that level of attention, but I've gotten a little taste of it, and I'm sure I've come across.
people have their stories about you.
Yeah, right. And
yeah.
it's like, no, that's not me. That's not who I really am. And so, again, it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, it's funny. It's there's that old expression: things that you'll never remember and they'll never forget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sure I've rubbed some people the wrong way.
I'm sure I'm there with you. I think about this often. It's like, as culture has transitioned so much in culinary, when I left cooking in 2022, professionally, I stopped being a chef and I walked away. I thought, like, I am the best version of a chef that I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Not just culinary wise, but just understanding culture and developing talent and creating a respectful kitchen. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to literally write the book, which I have. I've written several books on leadership and management. But even then, I would change things now. Like, I look at it as like, no, I disagree with some of the things that I thought then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the organics of what we do is so, it's not, you just can't plug and play. I mean, it changes all the time.
Right.
I mean, our current environment from social and economics and what we deal with every day absolutely impacts the hospitality industry. And we have to respond to those things. Right. And you talk about culture. It's like, well, culture changes too. We think that, back then this was acceptable and this was the right choice and this was the right environment to create, but people's lives are changing all the time, and what age and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's not a good, we would all benefit from understanding that the culture that we create inside of a kitchen is not a one and done thing. It has to change and it has to be transitional based on what the world is like at the particular day.
And with, I know we were talking about AI before we started recording.
Great example.
Yeah. But I think as AI is evolving, and it's evolving fast, like how quickly AI evolves. And I work with it on a daily basis because it helps me operate my businesses. Yeah. But one of the things as I'm writing this book, and I told you I'm about to release this book, one of the chapters in there is like a young sous chef or a young cook that's in the industry right now, like, excuse me, let me start over.
Yeah.
A young cook or a young sous chef that's in the industry right now. One of the things that I think is going to happen, and I'm going to put a pin in that because I'm hopefully I could come back to this episode and say, hey, I told you this is a reality, is I think that the way AI is so advanced right now and how quickly it scrapes the internet. Like I said, it gave me a whole 30-minute podcast that I listened to on you
on the way here.
Yeah. Right. And
my favorite part is when AI is like, "Oh, welcome back," or "Man, that's really good," or "You're going to really like that later," or whatever it is. Like the compliments, because it knows you and what you're doing. It's like that's pretty insane. So it keeps you.
What I think the AI is going to do, I think, and I'm going to put this in the book because I think like the internet is filled with shitty comments.
Yeah.
Like social media is filled with shitty comments.
That's right.
And I think what people need to worry about is what's going to happen when you go to a job and they interview you and they have their AI scrape all your internet comments.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, before I hire this person, can you show me all his shitty comments?
Oh my God.
Or all her shitty comments, right?
Yeah.
Of everything they'd ever said online. And it's like, I don't need all, I just need the shitty ones.
Yeah. Just give me top 10.
Give me the top 10 shittiest comments. And then you realize, wait a minute, were you commented on my post 2 years ago about how shitty my food was? And now you're applying here, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So as I was thinking about
inappropriate pictures too.
Or inappropriate, like all this is like, you know what?
Because we do that right now. I mean, you get an application, I'm going to Facebook to see your profile and all your stuff.
Right.
But I'm doing it manually, and it's taking me 20 minutes per candidate.
But now you could tell the AI, give me all the questionable things that they've ever posted online, just that, and all the questionable comments they've ever shared online. And that's going to be a real thing.
Yeah, it is going to be a real thing.
It's going to be a real thing.
Basically interview this person in advance before they show up.
Tell me everything I need to know about them. Every little shitty detail about their life. You think that's not going to happen? That's going to happen.
That probably already has happened.
That's 3 months away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So for people that are listening right now, like think twice before you comment that you didn't like that chef's PSA I posted.
Scrubbing your socials pretty quick.
Because I'm going to make sure I don't delete that comment anymore. I'm going to keep it right there for everyone to see.
Yeah, good stuff.
When you talk about mentorship, I want to go. Sorry,
that's okay.
We got off subject here, but when we're talking about mentorship, one of the things that, how do you mentor a young cook? Mm-hmm. How do you mentor a sous chef? And how do you mentor an executive chef that's working underneath you? And how different are those styles?
Man, well, I think there's baseline to it. I mean, I think again that culture, the culture that we try to create is not. There's no. What am I trying to say? It's set, meaning this is the culture, this is the boundary, this is what we stand for, and this is how we're going to operate. Now, within that, there's individual programs, training mechanisms, relationships that are based on the individual. And a lot of times we'll hire individuals based on who they are and what their talent is, and create a position around who they are, what they're coming with. And we've had the opportunity, not everybody has that opportunity, but yeah, I mean, a young cook mentorship is very, very different. We've got to make sure that they've got the opportunity to ask all the questions, and there's constant follow-up and follow-through and more time spent. Sous chefs should be coming with a lot more experience, and so it's refining what they are bringing to the table, and it's also giving them continued education. So if they're hungry enough to already have gone through the processes and get to that level, my job is to make sure that they're continuing to learn, and not just in the kitchen, but also, we've done the farm tour thing, and we've done, gone to Texas A&M and watched their entire processing. And so getting hooked up with other companies and programs that can teach them something else outside of your kitchen has been really beneficial. Or going and staging to other, some chefs are like, heck no, you're mine. And you're not, like, we celebrated that. No, get as much experience as you possibly can. And so, because you're going to do that, we thought you're going to do that anyway, right? And so whether you do it in secret or whether you do it in a program, we want you to get as much education as you possibly can. And for executive chefs, it's like, man, let's have real conversations about what your goals are long-term. What are you trying to contribute? What makes you tick? And how can I support you? It's the irony, right? Because a sous chef is supposed to, you're supposed to make my job easier. Yes. But if I make your job easier and put you in a position of success, my job automatically gets better. So we were really trying to focus on the individual's expectations again, but after the culture and boundaries and standards and expectations are set, it really becomes individualistic on who you are and what you really want. I mean, every chef that you've ever worked with is different. Just because they're a chef, they come from different backgrounds. They've got different family life. They've got different cuisine in their background or taste that they're looking
strengths
for.
and weaknesses.
Oh my gosh. And so if you don't know that about your number one or your number twos or even your first line cook, the conversations end up being pretty dull and stale, and I'm just telling you what to do, and nobody really wants to be told what to do. I want you to do the work because you're excited about it. You know the expectation. You know that you're going to be held accountable, but then you get to contribute and be part of the process and not just going through the motions because you think that's what we want and expect. And we've done training guides and manuals and spent years on developing the paper side to it. And as soon as we have an opening and everybody signs off and we talk about it for 3 months and here's these 5 steps or second nature hospitality we developed from Second Bar. Man, if you're not willing to do that every single day in the work environment, you might as well just throw the stuff right in the trash.
I use in operations that I've run, and even in the books that I've written, I always say it's not what's written down, it's what you act upon. Right, because if the culture says these are the standards, but no one follows them, then it doesn't matter. The standards are what people act upon.
Right.
Those are the real standards that in the operation. You could say this till you could say we always fold our towels and it's in the manual, but if no one folds their towels, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's what that's the new standard, because that's how everybody folds the towels.
Right. That's the new standard. What's the real standard is what's in action.
That's right.
What you could see in action.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because you're doing something really cool right now. You've when we were talking, you're like, I'm busier than I've ever been.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty crazy.
And you've kind of stepped into this whole new world. Can you tell people what's your new project? How did we get here? Man, it's wild.
It is wild. Yeah. So I, we've been praying to kind of get out of the business for a few years, because it's still nights and weekends and all the fab and all the expo and all the holidays. And so when we moved to Mineral Wells from Austin and opened and launched another Second Bar and Kitchen at the Crazy Water Hotel, it's got 15,000 people, right? I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, so it wasn't like a culture shock. I mean, it was from Austin to there, but I realized that our industry is somewhat broken. And I think I was put into the position and had the opportunity to finally create not just a, encouraging culture, but really have a position to where I can help change a little bit of the community's expectation, right?
When you say that you feel like the industry is a little bit broken, can you be specific?
Well, in mental health, right? Because part of the story and part of the answer is that my wife and I are both now Christian faith-based counselors and have created a nonprofit to eradicate the stigma of mental health. And it's called the Mineral Wellness Center. And we spend I'm the executive director of this nonprofit, and we realized very quickly that not just in a small town, I think it's everywhere, that people are still afraid to seek help when they have any issues from addiction or grief or things that they're encountering. And I think kitchens and restaurants and hospitality in general don't do a good job in taking care of the mental health of their employees. And I think it's kind of on the fringe. I think it's getting a lot better. And I just set out when we opened this last restaurant to be very open and very diligent about making sure that the mental health of our team was a priority. And very quickly it turned into a nonprofit, and very quickly, I mean, I'm counseling, several people a week on helping them navigate their purpose and their plan and their true identity in Christ, and finding ways around what they thought their life was supposed to be and what their expectations were. And then when you put into the hospitality side, we are trained to grind. Like, we're trained. I mean, burnout is almost a badge of honor versus an issue that people kind of recognize
until it's not. Right. And I think for so many years, we viewed burnout, or, like, hey, I'm not going to call off. I'm going to work through the illness or all of that until something real happens. And I always I'll use the example of saying, it's not until you feel real physical pain, real financial pain, or real emotional pain that you realize, like, hey, what's going on here? Right? I need to address something. And whether it's, and the culture of alcohol and drugs. I mean, it's do whatever you've got to do to show up. And I mean, our slogan's to make it happen, right? At whatever cost. And when does cost become too much? And too often what happens is that it's such an expectation to do your job at all cost. When it doesn't work, your only choice is to leave and then go isolate, because you can't, that failure option doesn't really exist. And so people are afraid to fail. So then all of a sudden, if that culture doesn't promote your mental health, there's nowhere to go. What do you say, or who do you say it to? And if your chefs and everybody else around you is like, come on, man, let's go, the idea that you're going to share something that you're dealing with just doesn't exist. And we didn't set out to be this big, we've got all the answers. It's just that I really wanted to take the opportunity to make sure that people felt safe enough to say, I'm not well. I don't feel good. I'm struggling with this. I'm experiencing this. And the end result is that, we've literally created a nonprofit specifically to help
people get restored and have a safe, encouraging place that they can talk about stuff. And we've seen dramatic life changes just by providing a space. And we host something called Farmhouse Fellowship, where we invite all of the other local nonprofits and any leaders or organizers in the community to gather around a table and just talk about what they're dealing with, what their wins are, what their struggles might be. And in the first meeting, people were like, I'm not sharing nothing. Like, this is my nonprofit. We fight for the same funding. I'm not saying anything. And now after 2 years, like, there's connections being made between the Senior Center and Meals on Wheels, and connections between Grace House Pregnancy Center and CASA. So you see this life change of people once they actually have the courage enough to speak the truth about how they feel or what they need. That's when real life change can happen. And so, yeah, and I no longer am the executive chef or VP of. I'm still the vice president of LaCorsha, but I'm not. This is the first time in my career that I've not been running a restaurant as a chef. Yeah. And it's freaking me out a little bit. Yeah. But
yeah. What's that like?
At first I was like, this is terrifying. I was emailing myself just to make sure my email was working.
Right.
Because I'm
we talked about this.
It's like, where's the 100 emails? Yeah. Like, and you get used, and even for me, like I've got, my self-talk is good and I can talk myself out of a lot of stuff, but this is, I had to adjust between that high octane level of stress management to not. And
was it hard?
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Oh gosh. I think I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah. How long has it been?
Our last service was October 26th.
Yeah.
So it's been 5 months or so.
It took me about 8 months to turn it off.
Yeah.
I was still waking up, checking my phone.
Yeah, I'm still looking for it.
What's the problem? And I was also still meddling.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like I was still meddling in the operations from afar.
Yeah. So I do. I also work for our church. So I'm the First Impressions Hospitality Coordinator to coordinate 120 volunteers for our local church. The executive director of the nonprofit. We're opening up a store / coffee shop / chef table restaurant with grab and go. It's a crazy story. That's called R&D, not research and development. It's called Restored and Delivered, and we're about to open like next month. And I haven't even written the menu.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I'm not worried about it. I'm sure you're not worried about it either.
I'm not, but it's such a this is the first time that I've done it 100% on my own and 100% of our own money, and literally the hood's going in today, and the hood's like $15,000.
Yeah. Well, hoods are expensive, right?
Yeah, that's probably
make sure
that's probably the cheapest hood that I've ever operated in, but it's my money, so it's like, what is this? Is right? What do you mean?
It's different when it's
$15,000. Are you crazy?
Thank God it's not solid fuel, right?
Yeah. It's like, can I just burn stuff outside? So no, it's a big deal, and that meant going back to the mentorship. Like I think it's setting the tone. Really, in any profession, I think it's really important that your staff feels safe enough to talk to you about real issues and real struggles, not to be afraid to share and be vulnerable and stuff. And then we've just seen it. We've seen that happen. And as soon as that culture exists and they're safe and they don't get criticized or there's no ramifications based on it, then the team becomes tighter, productivity increases, and people, it's just a better environment.
So what you're doing is incredible and very commendable. Thank you for doing that, because I think more chefs are opening themselves up to this, and more chefs are also realizing the importance of it. But with that being said, and I think you and I came up in a very similar era.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chefs that are going to be reluctant to hear this, and maybe don't want to accept change. They're, like we said, the industry's going this direction. The train is going that way, whether you
like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, like this is where it's headed. For people that don't even know where to begin, a chef out there that's listening, and they want to start incorporating some best practices into their own operation, what are a couple of things that you would advise to the general chef community? Like, hey, here's some simple things that you could do right now to start taking care of mental health issues in your operation.
Well, it's setting the standard just like you do with your food, and just like you operate as a leader. Part of that needs to be also being vulnerable enough to ask yourself if I'm okay, and if there's something that I need to help with my self-care or my mental health, because you can't talk about it if you're not willing. You can't instigate something that you're not willing to also do yourself. And I think, if the chef is never taking any time off, if you see your chef stressed out and burned out, you can't really, that's the culture that's going to be set, because all of your team is going to want to lead or live up to that expectation. So the chef actually making a decision to say, no, there needs to be, life balance. We've heard that term a million times, but actually put that into motion and encouraging people with the scheduling and time off or taking vacations. I mean, that's the baseline to it. Get rid of shift drinks would be a huge thing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that people are in the middle of struggling with addiction, and the entire team or the chef has the shift drink. What are you going to do? Like, your line cook is been sober for 4 months and everybody's having a shift drink. Like, that stuff can't continue. Right. And so, that was a policy we instigated a long, long time ago, but, because you've got to respect everybody else's journey. But if you're the boss saying, here's your after shift drink, but you're the one that's struggling with addiction, how does that work? Right. And so those choices, I think, are really important to make. And just having those one-on-one conversations. We know that one-on-ones are important, and having that weekly, or at the very least monthly, but ask the questions. How are you doing? Not just performance in the kitchen, but hey man, what's going on in your life? How's your family? What are you doing for fun? When's the last time that you got some rest or took a day out? Like, having real conversations so you can navigate from there. I can't tell you how many times. It's not really a question on how, are you suffering? It's where are you suffering and what's hurting you the most right now? What is it that you need mentally? What do you need to be, how can I encourage you? How can I lift you up? How can I fill in? And making that the standard practices.
Yeah. A lot of the, we're referencing kitchens that we came up in, and a lot of other people, it was that grind until you drop mentality. But I also think, like, we didn't know better. These conversations were not being had.
They weren't. No.
And I sometimes I don't want to judge chefs of that generation harshly, because it just
we were it. We were doing.
It wasn't a conversation.
No.
There wasn't a conversation here. So it's like you can't worry about what happened. What can you do today?
Correct.
What can you do today to correct
right.
it and start building systems and culture around it?
That's right.
Chef, wrap up questions. I want to ask you some specific food questions and pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're in the kitchen and it's your way, what kind of salt are you using?
Oh my gosh. The salt question.
The salt question, yeah.
I always like to have, three salts on hand at all times.
Like, what's your all-purpose workhorse?
That's kosher.
Is it Diamond Crystal, Morton's?
Diamond.
Diamond, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's your finishing salt?
Man, it's I just love Maldon.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I use. I hope it's okay.
Yeah. Fleur de Sel and Maldon would be the finishing options for sure.
I'm a Maldon person. I like crunching it a little bit with my fingers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like Fleur de Sel isn't as crunchable.
Nope.
Right?
It's almost ready to go. And I like the idea of crunching it in my hands when I'm doing the final seasoning.
When you're on your workstation and you have a general finishing acid. Now, I know there might be some nuance between dish if it's vinegar, but is it typically a citrus? Is it vinegar? What do you finish most dishes
Citrus.
with? Citrus.
Yeah.
Is there a preferred?
No, well, I think it's based on the cuisine that you're cooking in. I mean, lemon is probably the easiest to go to, but not just the juice. Certainly the rind and a quick zest on something is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And usually I'll have, because going back to the food cost thing, you want to maximize your product. So whether you're making a lemon oil or a lemon garlic vinegar or whatever it may be, those are also some tricks that you can maximize the flavor from, instead of just a squeeze of lemon.
Right.
There's levels of that acidity that you can pre-prep and pre-plan and have them kind of ready to go. And that, that sometimes makes the difference.
Yeah.
All the difference between a good meal and a great meal is the ability to finish with acid and salt.
Do you have a specific way that you make plate wipes that you like them done?
Oh gosh. Yeah. We call them brownie towels, but they're not paper towel. I think they are Brownie brand, but yeah, I mean, we'll cut them. You got to fold in the edges.
They're like a chick towel or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They got red stripes on them.
Yeah.
But they make about 8 plate wipes per towel.
Yeah.
But they've got to be exactly the same. The edges got to be folded in. We use rubber bands to, and that perfect little box, a little bit of water in it, ready to go.
Straight water? Do you vinegar?
Water. Just water.
Nope, just water?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there something that you do that might be unique to the kitchens that you run that you feel that bring an intense amount of flavor, or it's like sneaky umami or anything like that? That's like, hey, here's a little tip from me to you that is going to make your food taste better.
Oh man. We've done brown butter for quite a while, but after we do the brown butter, we strain the milk solids out of it.
Yeah.
And it's the caramelized milk solids. And then, we just call it liquid gold, because then we'll add a little bit of the butter back to it. And that spread, whether it's in sauteed vegetables or just on top of a piece of fish. And so, it takes several pounds to get a little bit. And then you can dry it and then grind it, and you crumble caramelized milk solids on top.
Let's talk about brown butter for a second.
Yeah.
It's hot debate right now. This is going to get us all in trouble.
Oh, no.
When you're making brown butter, do you stir it constantly or do you not touch it?
I don't touch it.
I don't touch it either.
Good for you.
I don't touch it either.
I don't.
I know
you don't
some
need
chefs
to.
will get mad, like, well, you got to stir it the entire time.
I ain't got time for that.
I don't get time to stir it the entire time. Right? I'm with you.
I didn't realize there was a big debate.
Oh, it is. Like I've had I've gotten into some heated debates with other chefs. Like, no, what do you mean you don't? You got to the whisk the entire time. That's what's making it. Whatever.
When they settle, they brown. I think it's faster that way.
Yeah. Last question, chef. If there's a Mount Rushmore of chefs out there,
oh gosh,
who's the 4 chefs that should be on there for you?
For me,
yeah.
Well, honestly, my mom's got to be on there. To be honest, I grew up in an Italian-American family, and my grandparents had 7 kids, and so there was cooking going on constantly. And we'd go to the restaurant. They ran an Italian restaurant called Oliveri's in upstate New York. And we're talking Paulie, Anthony, Tony, Loretta, Gloria, Teresa. And we ran the restaurant. And so by the time I was like 9 or 10 years old, and my mom never stopped cooking. And so that was certainly an inspiration. So I'd put her face up on there. And
can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Meatballs.
Yeah.
Hot topic.
Another
how do you so regardless of what's in them,
okay,
how do you cook them?
So oh gosh,
like what's in your restaurant?
Yeah, in my restaurant back then,
yeah,
you make them oven roast, and then you put them in the sauce. And
oven roast them, then in the
oven
sauce.
roast, yeah. And then and really that's just a fat thing.
Yeah.
So you can control the amount of fat that's in the sauce. You can skim it later if you wanted to, but then it goes, but I'd only cook them like 60, 70% in the oven. And then you finish braising for, that stuff would be on the stove for 8-10 hours. Yeah. Just slow.
Okay. So here's where I say fry them.
You say fry them?
I fry them. Yeah.
SBK, we fried them because they're small. We did the little tiny ones.
Yeah.
And actually we oven roasted them, chilled them, fried them, and then put them in the sauce.
Fry them in a little oil.
Yeah.
Get them nice and brown. Yeah.
Nice little crispy on that side.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we? Back to Mount Rushmore. So
I'd eat them.
Yeah.
Thomas Keller. I think that's kind of a go-to for a lot of us in this range, just because that French Laundry cookbook really changed a whole lot for me.
Yeah.
And the other 2 are going to be tough, to be honest, because there's so many that, Anthony Bourdain, that book also changed a whole world for me as well. And Charlie Trotter.
Yeah,
Legends. He came in to the mansion on his birthday, and he and Dean and Charlie's family or whatever, they came in and ate, and I was the one that got to cook for their dinner.
Yeah.
And just his, and again, I was probably 20 something or whatever, right? And so that was nerve-wracking to say the least, but he was just so genuine, and his signature in the book that he gave me afterwards and stuff. So that was like
the purple one.
The purple one. Yeah. And just, thank you for cooking for me on my birthday, and just his. I've never seen any food like that. So those books I went to over and over and over again.
When those books came out, there was the French Laundry and Charlie Trotter's books. I feel like those were significant moments in culinary time.
Yeah.
Like there was before French Laundry and after French Laundry cookbook. It was
really
it changed the way everyone cooked. Same thing with Charlie Trotter. I went to I never ate at Trotter's, but I went there recently, and Bill Kim, who used to be the chef there, and Dylan Trotter, Charlie's son, they gave me a tour of the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
It was like very cool. And then going next door to his studio apartment where he filmed the kitchen sessions and seeing that, it was super cool. So Charlie Trotter, my Mount Rushmore changes.
But right, yeah.
He's usually
you ask me this again next week, I'll probably have a few different more.
Right? But Charlie's usually on there. So, Chef, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to follow along?
Yeah, so right now you want to follow the Mineral Wellness Center on Facebook, and it's .org. And then also be excited for Restored and Delivered, R&D in mineral wells, because it's the unique concept is it's also kind of an incubator, because we're partnering with a coffee shop couple that their dream has been to do coffee, and we're partnering with a food truck called Smoking 3 C's Barbecue. And so, and in addition to that, my wife does plants, so it's going to be a plant shop, bookstore, coffee shop, and then I've got a dining room in the back. Yeah, and I get to do chef table dinners, and
that's cool.
Basically, I randomly open whenever I want to open.
Please keep me in mind when you start doing those. I want to go check it out. And by the way, you think people are opinion about meatballs? Wait till you start hearing about barbecue.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Yeah, for sure. And in mineral wells, you know, it's like when I tasted their barbecue, it's like I don't think they didn't. They know it's good, but it's super solid. So there's a lot going on in there, and come to town, check us out. But mainly just just ask questions, man. Just find the answers, and you don't have to be alone. You don't have to struggle through the stuff you're struggling with. And the more we get in a position to make mental health a regular topic, the better off we're all going to be, man.
Well, thank you this was fun for me, by the way, because I think we have so much to talk about. Like, we could have talked for hours. But really, thank you for what you're doing with all the work that you're putting in.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. This has been a blast.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
All right. That's the show. If you liked it, make sure you leave 5 stars. Nothing less than 5 stars. If you want more Chefs PSA, go to chefspsa.com. Get yourself some books. Get yourself some merch, including Culinary Leadership Fundamentals and the Line Cook Survival Manual. If you want early access to episodes, you can get them on Spotify and Substack by becoming a paid member. The link is in the notes. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No Andre in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction. Stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, class is in session.